Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Going Under on the Nintendo Switch. And if you don't know, Going Under is a top-down rogue-lite dungeon crawler with a fun and clever premise, which reminds me just a little bit of the show Silicon Valley. So basically, you're an unpaid intern for a startup company, and instead of accounting or whatever you thought you'd be doing, they decide to send you into the basement to defeat the mutated former employees of failed startups that came before you. The gameplay is kind of like a top-down beat-em-up. You can pick up and or destroy most everything that is laying around in the offices, which is good for the sake of variety. The number of different weapons is fantastic. You can also get in-game smartphone apps that work basically like spells. You can also unlock a pretty huge list of perks and abilities. Also, other members of the office may take you on as a mentor / apprentice relationship. And you can build that relationship by completing side quests for them, thus unlocking additional mentor-specific abilities, which can be extremely helpful. Also, once you choose a mentor, you're not married to them. You can have all of the possible mentors, and then basically equip or unequip them, kind of like just another piece of equipment. Also, I feel like the music is pretty darn good here, and I particularly like the music in the first dungeon. So based on everything that I've said so far, I feel like the design of the game is pretty strong. However, I also have some significant complaints. The visual presentation on Switch is, in my opinion, unfortunate. While I kind of enjoy the low-poly art style, as well as the heads-up displays and many of the other elements of the visual design, the colors look mostly drab or washed out. If they had gone with more bold or saturated colors, I think it would have helped the visuals immensely. Also, if you're going to go with a low-poly art style, then your animations should be buttery smooth, and they just aren't, here on the Switch version at least. I understand that the Switch is far less powerful than other modern consoles, but Going Under isn't going to strike most people as a particularly taxing game, other than the fact that any given room can have a pretty large number of interactive assets, which I would guess is probably the issue. That's probably what makes the performance drag, I would think. Though, if you've been watching my channel for a while, then you know that I can be pretty forgiving when it comes to superficial technical issues or performance. So the bigger problem that I have with Going Under on the Switch is that it's extremely grindy. It took me over 30 hours to finish this game, which is longer than average, by the way, but roguelite dungeon crawlers aren't really... That's not my jam. Okay, there's a few roguelites that have really surprised me, but for the most part, it's not really my thing. But anyway, yeah, so it took me over 30 hours to finish this game, and honestly, it felt like 60, and, I'll get to why that is here in a second. So 30 hours to finish a game is not, under normal circumstances, really excessive, and so it wouldn't be a problem, except for here in Going Under, there are really only 3 levels that make up the vast majority of the game. And so the vast majority of the time that I spent playing this game, I was just playing the same 3 levels over and over and over, I can't tell you how many times, for 30 hours. It was excessive. So more specifically on that point, though, the game consists of 3 levels. Then you go back through and do the same 3 levels over again. So the second time, they're like slight variations of the original 3, and they're more difficult, and they're just slightly different. So after you clear all 3 levels the second time, then the final level opens up, and that allows you to complete the game. So it's essentially a rather short game, which requires you to play it so much that you grow kind of tired of it. So the developer is called Aggro Crab, and this was their first game ever. And they show some real promise as a developer. Like I said, they've got some strong design ideas in here, and even some of the execution is well done. But I honestly cannot really recommend Going Under on the Switch based on its grindy nature. It was just so excessive here that it's just an absolute deal breaker for me. So that's it, man. I would say don't buy this. There are some assist options to help decrease the need to grind, but this game is still a no-go. It's a pass. So it's my understanding that there is some DLC available for Going Under, but honestly, I was so relieved to finally be finished with this game that I have no intention of checking out any DLC. So anyways, that pretty much does it for this episode. Please click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and click the little bell so you get notified when I release a new video. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time, whenever that may be. Bye-bye.